Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of I Made a Podcast. My name is Chris Creary. I'm so glad that you're here. This is the season finale of season number 3 of I Made a Podcast and possibly the very last episode. But I'm glad you're here. I have a lot to share, and specifically the one thing that I'm going to talk about is how podcasting changed my life, and it can change yours as well. But you got to start. You got to start somewhere. So I just want to start this episode by saying thank you to every single person who has listened, shared, downloaded, commented, and participated in this podcast. Because I do this because I know that there is more inside of me that I can use to help other people, and there were gifts inside of me that I can use to draw the best out of other people so that we can share the knowledge and the insight to everyone else. And that's the reason why this podcast existed for 3 years so far. But I'm grateful for every single person who has played a role, whether it is big or small, in the creation of this podcast. Thank you very much. Now, this is how podcasting changed my life, and it could probably change yours as well. You guys may have heard me tell this story before, but years ago, I was having a conversation in the living room of my condo, and the conversation was so rich, so beneficial. We were learning a lot. And I realized that the only people that would benefit from this conversation were the people that were inside the room. No one else outside of the room or who weren't there could benefit from this conversation. And this was the thought, this was the genesis, this was the defining moment that I said I should start a podcast. Because this conversation that we had was birthed in this room, but it could not live anywhere else outside of the room so that it can be a blessing to anyone else. And I feel like conversations that are had in rooms are meant not only to be an impact for the people in those rooms, but it can be impactful for the people outside of those rooms as well. And a podcast is the very thing that can accomplish this. You record that conversation and you share it online. You share it in the form of a podcast. Now, did I know what a podcast was back then? Yes, there was a lot of procrastination in my story before I started, and you could probably resonate with that as well. But eventually I came to the point where I said, you know what? I have to make this happen, because time is just going to continue to pass, and conversations like the one that I had were going to continue to happen, and people are going to miss out on life-changing information, life-changing insight and revelation that can help them take their lives to the next level, or take their business to the next level, or anything. And I feel like podcasting is the way that people can learn so much and apply it into their lives so that their lives can be dramatically changed as a result of starting a podcast or listening to a podcast. But as for me, it was starting the podcast that was so impactful, because here I was thinking that me starting this podcast was a way for me to share what's inside of my heart and things that I've learned and the conversations that I'm having with other people. I can share this insight with other people. And that's all I really thought podcasting would do at the beginning. But little did I know that over the last 9 years, I think, that I've been podcasting, little did I know I was going to meet so many wonderful people, be connected with people all across the world, have such powerful and impactful conversations that were able to go out all over the world. And I don't really look at my analytics, but I looked at it a little while ago, and I'm seeing that my podcast is being listened to in countries that I can't even pronounce. That's how impactful podcasting can be for you if you just start one. And that is the goal and the genesis of this podcast. I Made a Podcast, to help you start, shorten that learning curve so that you can get to the place where you can be, where your podcast can get out to the masses and be one of the top quality podcasts that are out there in the world. Now, the thing about conversations, they can happen sometimes spontaneously. You can plan them, but the direction to where certain conversations go, nobody knows where it's going to go. So you could be talking with someone even right now or later today and have a plan or an idea of what you want to talk about. But through the course of the conversation, some insight or something else might come into your mind, and you might say and might take the conversation into a different place where new ideas are even created, new thoughts are captured, new ideas are unlocked, and new concepts revealed to people. And when you hit that record button and just start talking and allow the conversation to flow, it allows all of that to be captured for you, and you can share that with the world so that it can be impactful to everyone else out there. And I feel like there are so many people in the world who are having these conversations, but they're just not turning on the microphone, not turning on the camera. And all those conversations are impactful and beneficial to you and the person that you're speaking to, but they can be impactful to so much more people. And podcasting has really changed my life because my gifts and my skills and my abilities all have to do with audio production and video production. And I would not have found those skills and really maximized those skills if it wasn't for podcasting. So what I do now is I help people who don't have those skills, who don't have the ability, don't have the patience even to edit audio or edit video and put it out there in the form of a podcast. So I help people to get what their message is inside of them out there to the world. And these are skills, abilities that I developed through podcasting that I wouldn't have developed anywhere else. It is only through podcasting. And I can say there has been hundreds, maybe even thousands, I'm pretty sure thousands of hours of podcasts outside of my own that I have helped other people get their message out there to the masses. Thousands of hours of podcasts that I've produced over the last 3 years through my business podcast production labs. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because I didn't realize that this business was inside of me, and I wouldn't have if I didn't get started in podcasting myself. And I say all of that to say this: there might be a business inside of you that is extremely impactful to the world that won't get out there unless you get started in podcasting. Maybe you have had the idea to start a podcast for years and you just sat on it, didn't do nothing about it. But what I'm saying to you right now is start the podcast, because it's not that hard to turn on a microphone and have conversations. And through this podcast, I have really made it easy for you to learn the best things to do, the best practices, give you tips and tricks and strategies so that you can get the greatest amount of impact with your message. So I have conversations with podcasters near and far, people who just started, people who have been in the industry for decades, and we come together on this platform to share our insight and our wisdom so that you, starting the podcast right now, you can get all of the best insight and start your podcast, not from first base, but you could start maybe from second or third base. And next thing you know, you're hitting a home run every single time you turn on the microphone. So that is what I Made a Podcast is about. This is how podcasting changed my life. And I'm believing that podcasting will change your life as well. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, this might be the very last episode of I Made a Podcast. Yes, I might call it quits after this. I had a conversation with Alan C. Paul 2 weeks ago. It was released, and I would encourage you to listen to it because he's one of those podcasters who have been in the game for years and is doing an amazing job. He has a top ranked podcast, and I would encourage you to go listen to his podcast, which is called God and Gigs. And it's an amazing show. You can learn a lot through listening to his podcast, but go listen to our conversation that we had. One of the questions that I asked him was, how do we know when it's time to end a podcast? Everything is going good. You're getting downloads, listenings, and engagement, but how do you know if it's time to call it quits for this podcast? And one of the ways that he answered was when the mission is finished. Now, when I think about that concerning this podcast, when I started, I didn't really know what the mission was. I didn't establish it. I didn't say I'm setting out to do this, accomplish this goal with this podcast. But what I'm gonna do in this off season is I'm gonna take a little time to think about this. What is the mission of I Made a Podcast? And I'm gonna see if I have already accomplished that mission through the past 3 years. And if I did, you probably won't see me release another episode of I Made a Podcast. I'll still be on social media and doing stuff on social media and sharing things and whatnot, but you probably won't see another episode. But if I have a goal that I haven't reached yet with this podcast, I will absolutely come back and I will absolutely release another episode and go for season number 4 of I Made a Podcast and keep producing excellent content for all of you out there. So I would love to hear your feedback. And let me know if you want me to have season number 4 of I Made a Podcast. And don't just say yes. Tell me why. Tell me some of the things that you want me to cover. Tell me some of the things that maybe you might find beneficial for me to cover and share with you, my audience out there. Some things that you want to learn or some different episode types that you want me to cover. Now, in this season, I decided to do things a little differently than I did in the past 2 seasons. The first 2 seasons of I Made a Podcast, I released interviews, and I did some solo episodes with just myself, sharing my insider things that I've learned through my studies in podcasting and learning about the craft, the creative craft of podcasting. And I've been sharing these things to help you. Now, in this season of I Made a Podcast, I did a couple things that were different, right? I still had solo episodes and I still did interviews with some podcasters so we can all learn from each other. But what I decided, two things that were different in this season. I decided to do a podcast audit. So I found some popular podcasts that were out there and I did an audit on everything concerning their podcast so that we can pick it apart, see what they're doing good, see where they have rooms to improve, and see what we can learn from those popular podcasts that are out there. And the other thing that I did was I had a coaching in the open session. So that's where I had two influencers or two people who have a platform already, and I coached them into starting a podcast. And both of them one of them is their podcast is already out, and the other one, it's about to be released, right? And I will talk about them a little bit later. But these are the two new things that I did for season number 3 of I Made a Podcast. So if you have some really interesting ideas or thoughts or something that you think I should cover for season number 4 of I Made a Podcast, please share it with me. Let me know. I would take it into consideration when I do my evaluation and determine if I should have a season number 4 of I Made a Podcast. All right. So now I just want to get into a brief roll call or a brief thanks to everyone who took part in season number 3 of I Made a Podcast. I have my phone right here with all my notes, so I'm just going to go through it so I don't miss anybody. Now, I want to thank the people who I brought on to interview. So first of all, there was Remy Roy, who has a podcast called The Driven Introvert. And she also has a platform for podcasters called Podground. And I've been sharing it almost every single episode because it's been such a great platform. And I would encourage you to go onto the website and subscribe and follow and join Podground. And you can see what Remy is doing and how she is building a platform for podcasters to help them to get to the next level. And you see, it's so much in unison and it falls in line perfectly with what my podcast is about. So that's why I happily champion Podground. Go and check out that platform and listen to my conversation with Remy Roy about her podcast, The Driven Introvert, and her story in getting into podcasting, because it was very encouraging to hear how she started, stopped, and then started again, and what she learned in the process of doing that. So go check out that episode. And I also spoke to Zach Zakalak, and he has a podcast called No Brainer Show. Now, he has been in broadcasting for decades. So it was amazing to sit down with him and have a conversation about his podcast, and he talked about his journey and all the things that he learned and applied into his current podcast. And one of the things that was really impactful that I learned from him was about how he uses the different platforms to get reach and get people to listen and download and follow his podcast. He's trying to gain more subscribers on YouTube. So please go over to Zach's YouTube channel, No Brainer Show, and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Let's get him to the next level, okay? So now, one of the things that I really love is when I can have these conversations with podcasters who've been in the game for a really long time. I had a conversation with Jim, the podcast Sherpa. This was a really powerful conversation. And what I love the most about connecting with podcasters is when you can get in a conversation and just talk to someone, maybe even for the first time, and instantly you feel a connection, you feel the energy that they have with you through the camera lens and through the screen. And that was my case with Jim. So much energy, so much excitement, so much passion towards podcasting, and the conversation that we had together, it absolutely showed it. So I would like for you guys to go back and listen to that episode as well. Actually, the entire season of I Made a Podcast. If you didn't listen to any episodes yet, go back and listen to the entire season number 3. There were so much wonderful conversations that we had, and you won't be missing out by doing this, all right? Now, podcasting is so amazing because people are starting new shows all the time. And just because they're new to podcasting doesn't mean that they have nothing to share that you can learn from when you're getting started. I spoke to Krista Snow also this season, and she has a podcast called Level Up. Now, it's a new podcast. She only started in December 2025. But let me tell you, it's a new podcast, but she has been planning and building a strategy for this podcast for the last 4 years before she launched. She literally had a binder that was this thick of the strategy, and every single step of her podcast was thoroughly thought through and had some sort of goal attached to it or some sort of strategy attached to it. So it wasn't just to start a podcast for the sake of starting a podcast. There was a strategy and a plan behind every decision that she makes, behind every platform that she shares her content on. And the goal is to build community and get people engaged with her podcast. And when I had this conversation with her, when she revealed this level of detail and strategy that she put into her podcast, I was amazed at how much work and effort that she put into it. And I know her podcast is going to do really well. All right, so this was the Level Up podcast with Krista Snow. And trust me, I will put links for all of these conversations down below, and you can go back into the archives in whichever time you're listening to this, and you can go and listen to the episodes. This conversation with Krista was really insightful, and I even applied some things from that conversation into my own podcasting workflow. Now, I had a conversation with Tally and Fern, and they are co-founders of a platform called Northflow, and also the host of a podcast called Behind the Workflow. And this is done to share the work that goes into creating a podcast. And the podcast is amazing, right? You should go and listen to it. They bring on podcasters and they share how they're using their platform to create impact and to share the message about what they're doing. But also their platform, Northflow, is something that every single podcaster can actually get behind and get some benefit from it. Now, as for me, I have multiple podcasts and I have clients who have podcasts and lots of stuff, emails going back and forth. When I send out emails to, book people on this podcast, it can get a little confusing, and it's really hard to keep things organized. This is just one of the benefits that Northflow can give any podcaster out there, just to keep things organized. If you do interview-based podcasts, you will be able to have one central place where you can have all of your communications, all of these emails, automations, and everything built into Northflow, and it will help you keep things simple, keep things organized, so that you don't have no confusion in the entire workflow of your podcast. And that's one of the benefits of the platform Northflow. And there, again, listen to my conversation that I had with Tally and Fern, and you'll be able to learn about the platform, learn about why they started it, and how it can benefit you in your podcasting journey. Now, earlier this year, I went to my first podcasting conference, sort of conference. They call it an unconference. It was called PodCamp 26, and it's in Toronto, Ontario. It was amazing, it was powerful, and I learned so much through this unconference, they call it. One of the really amazing things that happened through PodCamp was I was able to connect with a lot of amazing podcasters that are doing amazing and wonderful things out there in the world of podcasting. One person that I did connect with is a person by the name of Jessica Hart, and she is a podcast. She actually had a session that she was facilitating at PodCamp, and it was so powerful. It was about networking and connecting with people in order to create greater influence and connections with regards to your podcast. And I think a lot of podcasters really struggle with this, but Jessica broke it down for us. Man, and she is so passionate about podcasting, and she's a voice actor, she's a singer, anything with a microphone, she says anything that has to do with a microphone, she probably does it. And it was such a great conversation that I had with her, and she shared some of the insights that she shared in her session from PodCamp in our conversation. So if you are ever going to any type of conference, whether it's related to podcasting or whether it's related to something within your industry, you can go and listen to that conversation that I had with Jessica Hart and apply some of the things that we talked about in that episode next time you go to a conference to network with anybody else, or do a meetup with some people locally in your group, and you can really understand how to network and network well. And this is what my conversation with Jessica Hart was about. And of course, Jessica shared her journey into podcasting, two podcasts that she has, one that's no longer active, all the things that she learned through that journey, and how she applied it into her new podcast, which is called Totally Bombed. And one of the amazing super things that I love about podcasting is that there is so many different types of podcasts touching so many different industries, so many different genres. And I just love the fact that if there's something very specific that you like, you could start a podcast on it and guarantee you that people who like that topic will listen to it and hear your input on that topic as well. And I had a conversation with Sarah and Julie, who have a podcast called Suspenders Unbuttoned. And their podcast is all about Hallmark movies and medias. And they not only talk to the actors that might be in front of the screen, but also the people behind the scenes, the directors, the camera people, the producers, the editors, everybody. And just to get their input of their stories of how making a certain movie or a certain show. And Sarah and Julie are doing such an amazing job interviewing people on their podcast. People who would normally just have a line in their name on the credits at the end of a movie or a show, but they're actually getting those people and bringing them to the forefront to get their side of the story in the production of these movies that are going out there that you probably might watch and like. And it's just so amazing to hear some of the stories that they bring to the table and they bring out through their podcast. And again, the podcast is called Suspenders Unbuttoned, and you can go and listen to my conversation that I had with Sarah and Julie. They were so passionate and so full of energy, and I really enjoyed talking to both of them during that conversation. Now, the final interview that I did in this past season was with Alan C. Paul. Now, his podcast is called God and Gates Podcast, and it's for the faith-centered believer who is a creative and want to learn more about how to get that creative ability out there to the world. Now, I love his podcast. Now, Alan has been in podcasting, I think he said since 2017. So he has learned a lot, and it was really great talking with him. And besides the fact that we almost look alike, we're almost like brothers, but we even think alike as well. My conversation with Alan was really good. He has a membership platform that he's using called Creator 360, I believe it's called. I'll put links down below for it. And I would encourage you to listen to my conversation with Alan. He's been in the podcasting game for I think at least since 2017. And he's been a creative both in music, and he's been an author creating podcasts for a longer time than that. So he has a lot to share, a lot to give back, and he interviews a lot of people who have really accomplished a lot in their various careers. And it was good to listen to him and get his insight that he has gained through his podcast and through his journey that I absolutely will apply into my life. So I would encourage you to go listen to my episode with Alan C. Paul as well. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is my Coaching in the Open series that I did this season, where I took two people who had an influence, had a platform already, and I helped them to start a podcast. We went through the process from the very beginning of just that very idea and focusing in on who they are and who their ideal listeners are. And we talked about building that and building topics and themes and moving forward to establish the foundation and the structure of starting a podcast. And then we also talked about the technical things of what you need to do and what you need to get in order to release a top quality podcast that people can actually listen to and enjoy listening to. And we also talked about strategy, how to launch, how to reach out to people, how to build a community so that when you release your first episodes of your podcast, it just doesn't hit the floor. It actually gets traction and gets people listening to your podcast. So the people who you want it to impact, they actually can find it. We went through that entire process. And this was the real purpose of this. I wanted to find someone who had an idea or who had a platform already. And I wanted to go through this process with them so that you, who may be sitting on the fence right now, so that you can sit in on these coaching sessions and take the lessons that I taught them on how to start a podcast and what to do to have the firm foundation so that your podcast can really be successful. You can follow along and you can use some of the exact same things that I talked to them about and apply and start your own podcast. It's free coaching for you. All you need to do is listen and do what we've talked about. And that was the goal of the Coaching in the Open sessions. Now, the two podcasters that I worked with was Delois Kemboy, and her podcast is called Smiles from God. And it's already out. She's been faithful in releasing episodes every single week since the end of March. So if you resonate with this type of content, and if you want to hear a little bit more encouragement of how you can apply some of the things that she talked about into your faith journey, I would encourage you to go and subscribe to Delois's podcast. It's called Smiles from God. And the other influencer that I worked with this season to start a podcast was Myles Days. And he goes by the Instagram title or tag as Handsome Hustler. So I would encourage you to go and listen to his podcast. About his podcast, he really dives into the world of crypto, investments, passive income, and real estate investing. All of those things. He has a really powerful platform and a powerful story as well in how he got into the game and how he's actually benefiting and learning and growing. And creating multiple streams of revenue for himself. So all of this insight that he has learned, he's putting it together and he's releasing it in his podcast. It hasn't come out yet, but it will come out soon. So go and follow him on Instagram. I'll put links and I'll put his name up here on the screen so you guys can find him on Instagram, follow him. And when his podcast drops, make sure that you listen and tell him Chris sent you, okay? But that was the gist of season number 3 of I Made a Podcast. I almost said 4. Maybe that's a Freudian slip. Maybe I should do a season number 4, but we'll see. As I always say, the best time for you to start a podcast was 10 years ago. And it really was. You should have started your podcast a long time ago. The second best time is right now. And it's so easy to just turn on a microphone and start talking and allow the message that is inside of you, inside your heart, to get out there to the world so it can be an impact, so you can reach more people, build community, and do great things through your podcast. So I want to encourage you to start your podcast, and at the very least, you'll be able to create new friends in the world of podcasting, because of what I've learned through podcasting is there is such a community and a synergy within podcasting that people who are podcasters, we just connect like this. So thank you to all my podcasting friends out there, near and far, all those in Canada, all those in the US and around the world. Thank you for participating in whichever role that you had in this podcast. I don't know what's going to happen in January if I release season number 4 or if I call it quits for this podcast, but I will make an announcement and let you know what's up in the upcoming months. Enjoy your rest of your summer. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram, because that's the platform that I like to message things on, put things on Facebook as well. So follow me and I'll let you know if we're going to have a season number 4, but make sure that you make your podcast happen if you haven't done it yet. Peace.